All right, folks, coming at you live from Lincoln Center in Dallas, Texas. We've got a special guest today, Amy Weaver from Charlotte, North Carolina, the new Vice President of Growth and Expansion for the East Coast at eXp, and she's coming in hot next on Cliff's Notes. Real estate agents, are you struggling with the day-to-day grind, dialing for dollars, putting in hours of floor time with little to show for it? Are you looking for tips, tricks, and tactics to accelerate your career as an agent that will have you closing more homes, working with more clients, and earning more money than ever before? Hi, my name's Cliff Freeman, and I've spent the past 2 decades of my real estate career running one of the top brokerages in DFW and personally coaching over 1,000 high-performing real estate professionals across North America. I created this podcast to share the strategies and tactics you need to explode your real estate business. I guarantee it. All right, welcome everybody. I'm guaranteeing it by myself today. My co-host C3 is celebrating birthday a little day early, I guess. He's probably on the 15th hole in our local board golf tournament today and won't be with us. But we do have the one, the only, the master engineer here today, Trelvis. How you doing? Just checking in, sir. You doing all right back there?
I'm great, man. I'm great. We're a little light today.
We are a little light.
A little light in the cockpit.
I'm a little light in a few other places at this age, but that's okay too. So just real quickly, we don't have any sports to talk about today, do we?
Not yet.
Yeah.
The Cowboys haven't started, so we are not having sports just yet.
It's a shame. We had to close a few chapters of Dallas sports teams early this year, but we are looking forward to the Cowboys and very excited for the prospects there. All right, so without further ado, we'd like to bring in our guest, Amy Weaver, all the way from Charlotte, North Carolina. How you doing, Amy? It's great to see you.
I am fantastic. It is great to be here with you. It's been a little while coming. I think you asked me like a month and a half ago, Amy, would you mind sitting in with me on Cliff's Notes? And I'm like, absolutely, I'd love to.
And I appreciate that. You were very patient. I know we did have to reschedule things popping up, but we're here, and I'm excited. I wanted to get you in. I mean, you are a relatively new one here to join our team recently, and you know you're going to step in and make a huge impact right from the beginning. So your official title, if I said it correctly, is Vice President of Growth and Expansion. Is that close?
That is it. I'm the Regional Vice President for the East. So absolutely. Yep, the East Coast. So I have Maine all the way down to Florida.
Okay, well, you cover the spectrum then. That's a lot of different markets for sure. So what exactly does that mean? Give us an idea of what's your role. What do you do every day?
So they call me the closer. So what I do every day is I get to work with amazing agents that are a part of eXp that are attracting other like agents with big thinking, great minds, and entrepreneur like thinking. And so what they do is they bring agents that they've attracted and they bring them to me when they're on a scale of like 1 to 10, say they're at a 7 or 8, and then I get them in. Sometimes they just need to talk to someone in leadership or, if they need any concessions to help ease that transition. And so what I do is we get them to sign and we hand them over to the transition team, and we just make it a seamless, smooth transition for these guys that are changing their business and they see the value of our model.
Well, that's great. And so do you have enough people coming over to keep you busy?
Oh my gosh. I think I have on average about 5 appointments a day with big teams and big brokerages, and then lots of meetings sprinkled in between. So the East really is exploding and growing very rapidly. We have a foothold in the East, so lots of activity happening. So yes, I stay really busy, Cliff. I absolutely do. And I love it. I love being busy and just seeing these agents and collaborating with them on how the agents that they're bringing in can make their lives so much better. It's just really rewarding. So, yeah.
I don't have the recent numbers, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but I remember on one of our calls, just in January and February alone, we took in 30 brokerages that represented, I think, $2 billion and 6,500 transactions, and then another 42 mega agent teams that I believe represented 1.2 billion in revenue, and was it? Gosh, I don't remember. Was it 3,700? But it was a big number.
It is. We're bringing somewhere around 4,000 agents a month right now. And a lot of those are definitely made up of big teams and brokerages. Lots of brokerages are attracted to our model. They want to, kind of leverage that liability and their time and headaches, and want to work more on the things that they're passionate about, which might include coaching or helping their agents to grow their businesses. So get out of the daily grind and leverage that to us at eXp.
Well, that's wow. You just stepped into kind of a hornet's nest there. I mean, there's a lot of buzz and a lot of activity going on. For people who don't know you, and I've only had the pleasure to know you virtually. We'll be getting together, I guess, if you're going to be in Dallas or Denver. No, that's East Coast. That'll be the West Coast, but maybe Dallas or certainly November at eXp.
Yep, I'll be there in Dallas. I got my.
Yeah. Okay.
I got my ticket. I got my ticket while they were still going.
Excellent.
Yeah,
for
and then
Tony
I'll be in. Yep, for Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
I'll be in DC in July for the sprint for the East, and then
Okay.
yeah. So Tony Robbins is in August.
Yeah, in the sprint, there's some people watching that don't know what a sprint is. Can you tell us a little bit about what a sprint is and what it's all about, who it's for?
Absolutely. So one of the great things about eXp is being able to benefit from agent attraction. So those agents that are, excited about the model and really benefiting from it, then they share that with other agents. So the sprint event is there's a few months out of the year where we call it a sprint month. And so the first 50 agents for each region to get 3 frontline agents that name them as a sponsor qualify for the sprint event. So there's going to be 50 agents in the East, 50 in the Central, and 50 in the West. And they're going to go and mastermind with some of the very best. And I'm excited. It's going to be my first one. So I really don't know what to expect myself. I just know that it's going to be super informative and educational and a great time to see each other in person. We're hoping to have a lot more in-person events. And so you really get to connect with those people that you've already connected with over Zoom, but really get to see the culture that eXp has and the culture of sharing and collaboration. So I'm excited about it.
I want to talk a little bit about you personally, but before we do that, the culture thing just really is heavy on my mind right now. You came over from a great brokerage that had heavy culture, and now you're over here. You've been baptized. You've kind of been by immersion, right? You've just been put under the water. Go swim. And, we're starting to get out COVID. We were really built for COVID. I mean, we had everything sort of, in the cloud and virtual and everything. But now that you've had a chance to be over here for a little while, I want to get what your thoughts are on the culture here at eXp. What have you found so far?
So, I mean, I have to tell you, I was at a brokerage that was great culture. And that was one of the main reasons that I started with that brokerage, is because that really resonated with me, because that was important above all else. So I got to tell you, I had some fear coming over to eXp that I wouldn't experience that. But I have to say, from day one, people have, wrap their arms around me. I'm supposed to be helping you guys. And everybody's like, how can I help you? And you really just feel the genuineness, and that we're all in this together as one huge team that's all trying to work toward a common goal of just making each other's lives better every single day so that we can have a better future for ourselves and for our families and the ones that we love. So the culture, especially I had the opportunity to go to Cabo right when almost immediately when I got here. And I did not meet a stranger. Everyone was so kind and open. And some of the stories that came off the stage, it was just, I had chill bumps like the whole day. And so you can't really explain the culture. You feel it. I think I tried to explain it, but it is just really feeling like it's just everyone really being on the same team and shooting for a common goal. And it doesn't matter, who's your sponsor, who's not your sponsor. Everybody is willing to help everyone. So that felt really, really nice. I knew then that I was home. So that I had picked my team and I had found my tribe. So that
Right.
was really great to have that from the beginning. Yeah.
Well, that's I think that's one of the things that really has solidified this company. Companies with great culture like Apple and Harley Davidson. There's, I mean, people would take a bullet for other people there, and you've heard the phrase "culture eats strategy" for lunch and even breakfast, right?
Yes.
I
That's how Rich
totally agree with you.
Tomahawk.
I think
Yeah.
I think that the culture here has really exceeded what I thought you could possibly do with a virtual company. And gosh, every time we get together, it's like another high school reunion. It's just we haven't seen each other physically in a while, and then we get together, and it's awesome. It's like a big sort of just a great opportunity to reconnect and so forth. All right, so you've got a rather illustrious career in real estate for your young age. I mean, I'll mention that you have a 19-year-old son in college there, right, in Charlotte with you, and a
I do.
16-year-old.
Yeah.
That's always exciting to have them, and at that age, that's sort of their last chapters of being, the dependents at home on your tax returns until they get out of college and stuff. But it's an
Sure.
exciting time. And so you've got a lot in your future ahead of you once you guys do become empty nesters. But let's go back a little bit and talk about what it was like for Amy growing up. Did you grow up in the Charlotte area? You did, right?
So I actually grew up near Raleigh. I grew up in a little town called Smithfield, and yeah, so I'm a North Carolinian, which is actually really rare. I think in my neighborhood, I'm the only person that's actually from North Carolina. They always are intrigued by my accent, and I was like, well, we are in North Carolina, and I'm like, you should have heard it like a few years ago. It was much thicker, so I've actually come a long way since then. But yeah, I have a little Southern accent, and I did grow up in North Carolina, but more on the east side. So yes, I
Sure.
did.
Yeah. A little
Mhm.
closer to Duke is over there, I think, right? Not too far from
Yeah,
where you
Duke,
grew up, right?
UNC Chapel Hill, NC State. We've got some great universities here for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And so, were you an only child? Did you have any siblings? What was family life like?
So, you asked me to talk about anything that was impactful for me. And yes, I grew up, I had two siblings, so I was a family of three. And, my dad was so my dad has passed away, and I'm so proud of who my dad was and what he did, but he was a blue collar worker. So I grew up in a family that no one had really gone to college. And early in my childhood, we had a tragic accident that my sister was riding home from on her bike from school, and she got hit by a school bus. And she was 10, and I was 6, and my brother was there, and he was 12. Um, that experience really changed who my family was as a family unit, and also who I am. So it just huge impact for me, and seeing how my mom and my dad had to deal with that, and the strength that they had to gather together to get through the loss of a child is really hard. So we really became like this really tight-knit family unit. And I just realized today, like, how much I lean on my mom, and she leans on me for support and advice. So that was a huge factor in who Amy was growing up. So I was a very loyal, obedient child, and I was just driven to make my parents proud. So yeah, give them something to live for.
Wow, that's a tough one to overcome for sure. Um,
Yeah.
so, what were you like in high school, and then we'll talk about how you met your husband. But what was high school like for you? What were your favorite subjects? What did you do?
I love math and science. I love leadership. I was always running for leadership offices, and it's funny because I actually was seemingly more reserved. I was one of the what the teachers would say, a teacher's pet, a great student, whatever. But once I got my lay of the land and observed, then I was super talkative and outgoing, obviously running for school offices. But I just was a dedicated student. I've always been goal oriented. I think I had a little slip like in my sophomore year where I might have gotten into boys a little bit, but quickly got back on track because I knew what I needed to do to get to college. I was going to have to work, pretty hard to get there, and so I knew that I needed to stay on track. So that was me, and I played soccer, and I played a little bit of volleyball, even though I'm super short. I like to run too. I was a sprinter. So those are the things I did. Everybody thinks I was a cheerleader, but I was like, yeah, no, I didn't actually do that. That's not something I did. I like playing soccer. So that was my main sport. So,
Oh, that's
yeah.
awesome. My daughter was a big soccer player growing up, and I remember those days. They were very fond memories of her, and going to tournaments all over the place, and it was great. So you went on to college then, and you went to was it Eastern?
East Carolina Pirates.
That's it, East Carolina Pirates. And what happened in college? You met this young man who was also a student there.
Yep, I did. So I met him in physical therapy school. So yeah, we were actually doing a hand washing station. You had to actually learn how to wash your hands like a surgeon. So we were at a hand washing station, and I think he asked me to study or something like that. I think I said no, and then he kept he kept asking, and eventually I caved in. And so yeah, so we spent that summer we had to take gross anatomy and just like some basic courses before we got started in our real courses in the fall semester. So that whole physical therapy group just really bonded that summer. And so he was a big part of that. And that's when I learned to like country music. Even though I'm from the South, I never listened to country music. So he's a country music guy. And that was always playing in his truck. And yeah, so the rest is history.
Now,
as far as
does he play guitar and sing? Is that his?
He likes to sing,
his
but
thing?
I think he's tried the guitar, but he's never really taken any formal lessons. But no, he doesn't do anything like formally. He just sings in the shower and in his office sometimes. So
Okay,
yeah.
well, we'll have to get him plugged in with Jay Nelson. Jay's in he's in Puerto
Oh,
Rico now, but yeah, Jay's actually done some of that for professionally. So that'll be a treat to put those two together.
I
And
love
so
it.
was there a I always like to talk about that zero moment of truth when all of a sudden real estate appears in your life and you just go boom, that's my calling. How did that happen, and when did that happen to you?
So yeah, so it didn't exactly happen that way. My husband ended up being in medical sales, and he had a great and wonderful jobs that paid great money, and he traveled everywhere internationally. So, and that's when we started having little ones. And so what I did is I ended up staying home with the kids. We moved to Charlotte area, and I supported his career. I stayed home with the kids, did all the parenting, the stay at home mom things. But I will say, like, everything I do, I want to do it really well. So like when I was pregnant, I was reading every single pregnancy book. When I'm parenting, I'm reading every parenting book. I'm reading, what best diets to be on, all that. So yeah. So what happened was when both of them finally got into school, I did some side things because I do have a lot of energy. So I did some just side hustles or whatever, just for fun. Like I learned how to refinish cabinets, believe it or not, and I was pretty good at that. I went to a class in Kentucky and learned how to do that. It was pretty fun. And stressful at the same time because I'm a perfectionist, and it was taking me way longer than I had anticipated, and people wanted me out of their kitchens. But once they got into school, I knew that I needed to do more. And at this point, we had built a couple houses together, one in Greenville, North Carolina, and then one here in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I was just involved in every detail. That's just because I needed something to do, and that was my new hobby, was knowing how to build a house, I guess, and read blueprints. And floor plans. So I was just thinking, I was talking to him. I was like, I don't really want to go back into PT. I didn't want my kids to have to go into after school care. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but I wanted to be able to pick them up off the bus when they got done at the end of the day. And so my husband's like, why don't you go into real estate school? And I was like, I don't know. Next thing I knew, he had signed me up for real estate school, and I was sitting in the class the next week. So it's really his decision and not mine. But that flexibility, and I really didn't, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really have a need to work at that point. It was really supposed to just be a hobby. But again, I don't do anything lightly. So I had my hobby of real estate, and I just made those hours from 9 to 2 extremely purposeful. I will say we had a couple of really difficult financial hardships within the first 2 years that I got into real estate. So it really couldn't be a hobby any longer. I had to really, put the real estate hat on. I got to figure out if this is the career I want. And if I want it, then what do I have to do to get there? So I met with my team leader and I said, I need a plan. I need to make $200,000 a year. And we came up with a plan and how many appointments I needed to go on every single month in order for that to happen. And then just did it. So you just do it. And so I started to see some, fruits of that labor. And so it was great. Like, I'm actually thankful for those experiences every day, because that's what got me from there to where I am. So I just poured into myself. I was reading, and I had a growth mindset, and I was learning from agents that were stronger than me, smarter than me, had more experience than me. And I was good with that. I just wanted to learn from them. I never begrudged anyone for their success. I just wanted to learn, what did they do? And how can I implement something that they did into myself to make me, get to the next level? So that's what happened. I ended up getting on the Agent Leadership Council. I started to go to some of the real estate schools and speak because I was on the growth committee, and I learned that recruiting was kind of a gift of mine. I haven't gone into detail on the story, but when you tell someone a story of like where we were and then where we went, and just the struggles of that, and feeling like no one else had ever done that. Of course they have, but you don't know that when you're going through it. You feel like it's just you. And so just the despair and all that, and really being able to fight your way out of that, just being very purposeful every day and having hope, it gave them hope. And so while I was talking, I started to see people crying, and they were going through the exact same thing. And so I think that I realized that when you sit in front of someone and you give them hope, that's what they need sometimes, just to get to the next level for themselves. I don't know where you went. Oh, there you are.
Yeah, I love what Zig Ziglar said about hope. He said you can go about, I think it was 7 days without food, 3 days without water, but you can't go a day without hope. And that's what, and I hope what the story you just told, I think is going to resonate with some of our audience. Nobody in life gets to be to the top without struggles. And you've had struggles. We all have. It's not about the struggle, though. It's about getting up and moving on. You just learn to dance in the rain because it's going to rain. And then you always want to, be there for the finish. That's the key. Who had some of the biggest influence in your life in the earlier years? Was there anybody in particular that really influenced you?
Yeah, I mean, I already said my mom, but my mom really did. So she's just a strong lady. And you knew she loved you unconditionally. And she was also growth minded. So she was a teacher's assistant, but she would go to these workshops with teachers, and she would just open her ears and listen to the speakers. She said it's too bad they don't do a lot of that anymore, but they had some of the best people come and speak and, talk to her about how you build children up and how, you get on their level. And, if you teach a kid how to love, they're going to be loving. If you teach them respect, then they're going to be respectful. And so she just really, she was learning based, and she just poured into my brother and I, and made sure that, you know, she would sacrifice. And my dad did too. He was just more of he was not as present because he was working, trying to make money. And I would go sit with her at the end of the school day, and I would, you know, go work with some of the other teachers. They're like, can Amy come help me with this poster? So I would go up and down the halls in the school. And so she was just very present. So definitely my mom. And even now, like, she's my biggest cheerleader, biggest fan, and gives me words of encouragement all the time. And she's so proud of where I've come and what I've done. She's a little bit of a nervous Nelly. She doesn't like to be a risk taker, but I'm like, Mom, yeah, trust me, it's going to be fine. And she's like, okay, I trust you. But yeah, definitely my mom has been just a rock for me.
Moms are amazing. You know, thank God for moms. There's no question about it. As you got into real estate, who were some of the people you followed, and who influences you now? Who were some of the thought leaders in real estate that you follow today?
That's really funny. You know, I have several, and a lot of them you probably wouldn't necessarily know. But so there was a gal that was at Keller Williams, Stacey Sauls, who, if you looked at her story and, you know, how she started, she was a paralegal, and she just had this mission to be better, do better, and to grow something really big. And boy, has she done it. And so she's such an inspiration to so many. And I don't even know if she probably knows that. And then, you know, honestly, since I've been here and I've been exposed to Elizabeth Riley, she just really impresses me with her knowledge and her kindness and her big heart and her willingness to share. Shelly Johnson, I spent a day with her on the catamaran and in Cabo, and my goodness, like just the big hearts that we have here are just incredible. Rich Tomasini is the one that really got me thinking more about eXp, and just the way he thinks and the way he cherishes his time with his family. He got me onto this book called Die with Zero. And I really had never thought about that until I read, you know, what good does it do if we die like with a bunch of money? And so why not just enjoy the experiences and the money with the people that you love while you can, and while you're young and while you're fresh. And if you want to give your kids money, give it to them when they actually need it, not when they're 60 and you've passed on, because by that point they've pretty much figured it out. So he has really influenced me probably a lot more than he knows. He's super quiet, but I pay attention to him. He's very inspiring. And then Dave Kennard is such a huge mind. He is great with words, and he is just so sincere. And I have a funny story. When I first interviewed with eXp, I didn't know it was going to be with him. I thought it was going to be a ramp up. And to be honest with you, I really had no intention of coming whatsoever. I was just doing it just to check the box. And I had on no makeup. I had my hair up in a messy bun, and I was in the car because I was going in to get my hair done. And so you could see my steering wheel and he was like, "Where are you?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm in the car. Like, I have a hair appointment." So seriously didn't look like I took this interview seriously at all. And so I started to, wonder who he was. I was like, "So what's your role in the company?" He's like, "Well, I'm president of the company." And I was like, "Oh my gosh." And I was trying to think of like, how can I correct everything that I just did? I need to like put this in reverse. And I was like, I can't, like, on camera, I'm still in my car. I can't fix my hair. So I was like, okay. I was like, and so he told me later, he's like, that actually made me like you so much better. Cause he's like, you were just you. He's like, I didn't think I'd ever get a second interview with you. He was like, you just were, pretty distant, but you told me everything I needed to know, but you just didn't seem like invested in it. I was like, I know I was a pretty hard one, but yeah, that was my first experience with him. But my goodness, he's got so much knowledge and experience, and I just love to listen to his ideas and just to see how he thinks. He's an amazing person.
Dave, I was going to ask you how that first interview went, because you said candidly you weren't looking to make a change. How long did you have to sort of noodle on it before? Was it that first interview where the questions started coming up and you started, wondering, you know, what it was all about, or when were you really convinced that this was the place for you to be?
So it actually was more like the third or fourth interview. I told you before, I'm like a very loyal person, and I was completely happy. I had no reason to look anywhere else, and I loved the market center I was at. But what I started to do was I started to call some of the EXP agents that I knew had left the brokerage that I was at, and they had stayed at EXP and had been there for a couple of years, and just to ask their experience. So it's really funny because they thought I was recruiting them, and but I was like, no, I actually would just like to know. I'm taking a poll, so I just want to know, like, what do you love about it? What do you not love about it? Anything that we change? How does it compare? And so this one agent that I talked to, he had left the brokerage I was at like 2.5 years ago. And he's just a really quiet guy. He just put his head down and went to work, and he has young girls. And his answer in particular just really got me because I knew Rich is an influencer, and he had lots of success with attracting other agents, and there's lots of revenue to be made with that, and that's obviously very attractive. But this guy, his name's Jason, he wasn't really about attracting, but he tripled his business when he got to eXp. He said the training was absolutely phenomenal. He bragged on the culture. He's like, it's the best that I've ever experienced. He said, I've had conversations with Jason Guessing. He's like, he just seems like a normal person. He doesn't act like, he's the CEO of the company. And then he said, and to be honest with you, it was hard for me just to even put the money away with a transaction to pay my taxes. And he's like, and Amy, right now I have almost $300,000 in stock. He's like, that's life-changing for me and my family. And I was like, wow. I was like, and cause I had been one of the people that made fun of the stock. Sorry. But I was like, I was like, it's a piece of paper. And now when you look at how it compounds over time, and it grows, and you can buy it with your commission at a discount. I mean, why wouldn't you do that? Like, you don't even think about it. You just look, and there it is. And so in 2.5 years, that's what he was able to do. And that was significantly life-changing for his family. So it wasn't like somebody that was making $80,000 a month or $500,000 a month, but still his life is that much better for the company that he decided to hang his license at, which I thought was really cool. So that was really where it was. And then once I talked to him and a couple of others, then I started to just take off my conditioned thinking and not be so hard about it. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to listen, just keep an open mind. And so as I did that, I just started to really feel like it was the path that I wanted to go on. But I have to tell you, it was still a challenge. I had knots in my stomach, and I wanted to throw up. And I'd wake up like the first week that I worked at eXp. I was like, did I really do that? I can't believe I actually did that. But it was definitely the best decision one of the best decisions I've ever made. So I'm so happy. So it just took me a little while to wrap my head around it, and it really felt like a dream at first because I just had never thought I would make a change. I was like, I can't believe I did that. So yeah, it took me a little while to get there. But I did. And another funny story is, I was on, I don't know if you were on that, but I was on the Alpha call, the Alpha interview one day. And I think someone asked me, yeah, you were on it. And I was like, they asked somebody, I think it was Chuck Fazio, was, why have you not come to us before? And I was like, well, to be honest with you, there was things that I didn't love about the model. And I think Dave he's like, so that's it. Amy's done for the day. It's 12 o'clock. And he's like, I want her to answer the question. Let the girl answer the question. And so I made a point to go up to him, like when I met him in person. And I was like, hey, I want to answer your question. I was naive and dumb, and I didn't know, but I didn't know what I didn't know until I knew it. So I see now it's the best model in the world.
Well, yeah. I mean, so let me just go back to Jason for a second. So essentially what you're saying is Jason just continued to do what he did in the past, but because of the environment that he was in and the opportunities that were available to him, he wound up with an extra $300,000 in his life that he wouldn't have had. And he did it really essentially without doing anything differently than he was doing before. Did I understand that correctly?
exactly right. I mean, he did
Okay.
triple his business when he got to EXP by,
Well, I'm,
going to the training and pouring. But yes, between that and then, yes, not doing anything extra, the stock just came like when he'd cap and when he did his first transaction every year. And I don't know if he had sponsored anyone, but of course, if they had their, so yeah, it just started to all, and so he did nothing different. And yet he had that there. And it just, it made him feel obviously very secure about his future. And so, yes, that was life changing for me. I was like,
yeah.
wow,
So,
that's
all right. So let's circle back around. I'm going to borrow this. I kind of feel bad about doing this, but I want to use a term coined by Gary Keller. It's myth understandings. What were your
yes.
myth understandings about EXP before you started to look under the hood?
Okay. That it was a horrible culture. Um, that, that the stock was just junk, like it was worth nothing. That the revenue share model was inferior to profit share model. All those things that because I thought that, and boy, was I wrong. I was like, well, I should have looked at this earlier. But, if you looked at the profit share model, I thought for the long term that was going to be a better like retirement plan. And once I really started to look at who was earning revenue share and what that looked like, and the reason that they have the unlocking of the different tiers, there's a reason for that. It just started to make sense, and the ability to really just have a whole different level of income, an income stream from that was just, you can't close your eyes to it. Like it's just there. So yeah, so those were the main things. The culture, that the profit share model was superior and that the stock is just worth nothing. Or, you can't get it when you need it. Da, 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 da. But once I talked to Jason and I saw how that was growing over time without him having to do anything differently, the way he said, it was just eye opening, because even if it stayed at $300,000 when he's 60 years old, and he's a younger guy, I don't know how old he is, but let's just say 20 years from now is still 300,000. Well, that's a good amount. So, and obviously we know it's going to keep going up from there. So it doesn't take you don't have to have a crystal ball to
Yeah.
see
No,
that.
no
So yeah,
guarantees.
so those are some of the
Yeah.
misunderstandings. No
Right.
guarantees. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely no
but
guarantees.
yeah. But our,
But he'll continue to earn more stock, and so or purchase it. So yeah,
right.
no
So
guarantees.
is it
Yeah.
fair to say that what you had heard from other people outside the firm turned out to be completely wrong?
Yes. Yes.
That's interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It reminds me of Gene
Yeah.
Frederick's story. You've heard him tell this about walking into the Ford dealership and seeing that whatever that G model is on the showroom floor, that real fast one. And he asked the salesperson there about the car and how fast it is and stuff. And the guy's saying it's incredible. And he looks at the Ford dealership rep and he says, I'm thinking about a Tesla too, because they do like 0 to 60 in 2.4 or whatever the number is seconds. What do you know about Teslas? And the dealer rep responds, "Oh my God, you'd be crazy to buy one of those. I mean, look at the headlines. They're blowing up and catching on fire in China. People are they're falling asleep at the wheel, and the cars are running into trees. And just the carbon footprint alone that it takes to make those batteries is more than this fast little sports car here would create in carbon output in a lifetime." And so it just depends on where you're getting your information. And I think, my appeal to people in the audience who have not taken the time, first of all, you have to be open-minded. You said that. You have to be open-minded. I mean, think about where you would be in life if you weren't open-minded. It'd be pretty scary, wouldn't it? But you have to be
Yes.
open-minded, and then you have to really look for yourself. And all the, you can look in the Edgar, all the SEC filings are in there if you're into that. I mean, you can talk to people in the company and so forth. But the bottom line is, it's garbage in, garbage out. And if you're not getting your information straight from the horse's mouth, chances are you're hearing, myths about the company and so forth. They're put out all the time. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure that we clarified that now that you're over here, it's not as you had, thought it would be, a year ago or 6 months ago, and you're seeing something different. All right. So,
Yes, absolutely.
Amy, I want to talk a little bit more about you. You're in a
Okay.
very, very influential position in the company. You have a lot of power, a lot of stroke. You now have an opportunity ahead of you that right now is just the East Coast of the United States, but literally, as fast as we are growing, you know, we're all going to be talking, 50 different languages here before you know it. What are your
Yes.
personal goals in the next 2 years? How big a dent do you want to put in the universe now?
Well, we have a team goal in the growth of hitting 300,000 agents, and we're at 55,000 right now. So it's going to take a lot of work and relationship building. So I want to just help you guys that are at eXp grow as big as you want to, and just help change as many lives as we can. I haven't really thought about, because I'm so fresh in this role, like what the opportunities might be within eXp for me. But I kind of like what you guys are doing. As I watch you do that, I think about Chris Bayer, and he was our vice president for growth for the whole country for a couple of years. And in doing so, he really got to see the model, and he loved what he did, of course. And then, his passion is to really help others see the opportunities. And so I like that. So I don't know whether, that looks like me in leadership or whatever, but I want to go far. So, if Dave Kennord wants to give me his job one day, I'll think about taking it.
Dave, I hope you're listening to that. If you're thinking about stepping down and moving to Puerto Rico or anything anytime soon. But no, that's great. Well, yeah, there's no question. For my own personal curiosity, I have to ask you, what is your disc?
So it really is an ID for whatever ID, and then S is low, and then C is on the floor. Like I need the people that work with me every day. I should buy them dinner every day because they help keep me organized and get my stuff together. I'm like the visionary. But when I took the disc for Dave, it came out DI, and I'm positive that that's not what I am. My I is first, and then my D comes out when it needs to come out. But for whatever reason it came. Maybe I'm changing as I grow older. I don't conform. I stick to my beliefs, that's for sure. So I'm quiet, but I'm firm in my beliefs. And so I'm an I love, like, the Cabo was the greatest thing for me. I loved, like, hanging out with those people. I filled my social bucket. And so that's what it is. It's an ID or a DI. Who knows? But it's one of those. Definitely no C in me whatsoever. There's a little bit.
Well, and you're super smart. You realize you've got to surround yourself with people who complement your, not, I don't want to say weaknesses, but the areas that you're not as strong behaviorally. I mean, being a low C just means you don't like to get stuck in the detail and damn the torpedoes and full speed ahead with the D and the I, and you're an extrovert, and in your role in the company, it's a perfect fit. So I just wanted to confirm that. I haven't asked anybody recently on the show about their disc, but I knew you would know about that coming from where you came from. So interesting.
Yes, absolutely. I know about it. And thank goodness that we can leverage those details out, because yes, I can get lost in the weeds of those. And I'm just like, oh, just forget it. It's paralyzing. Can we just, what goal do you need me to hit next? Like, let's think about that. So yeah, that's another thing. I'm like super, if you put a number, so it's hard because, and Sean, I know, is like that too, who's in the West, like, we're competitive with each other. If you put a number in front of me, we want to hit it. So he studies the numbers all the time. And I used to study them all the time. And so now I'll ask him, I'm like, hey, where are we? And he's like, you're still winning. And I'm like, he's like, I'm going to get you one day. I was like, yeah. I was like, you might need to move to the East. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's that competitive nature and drive that, when you're in real estate or other sales businesses, I mean, that's, you have to have that, I mean, just to survive. I was going to ask you, we talked a little bit before the show, and I always like to drop nuggets on the audience. Agents right now, it's a tough market, especially, I know it is in Charlotte and our area. I mean, our home price appreciation for May year over year was 32% here in Dallas. We're seeing, it's almost insane, the number of offers that we see on houses and so forth. What advice, you've been through a cycle or two, and you had a team of 5 at one point. What advice could you share with agents who are watching right now, who are struggling and maybe even thinking that this isn't the business for them because they're just not getting offers accepted? They're working 5 times harder than they were a year ago. What advice can you give them?
That's a hard one. And being transparent because I'm not in production right now. And I don't know if anyone has ever experienced a market like this where you can put a coming soon sign and you get offers unseen for $100,000 over asking price. And in North Carolina, we have due diligence. And sometimes you'll see $100,000 in due diligence, which they know they won't get back if they should back out of the contract. So it's really crazy, so my advice is, and I know this isn't for everyone because this is a little bit more challenging for new agents, but we got to take control of the listings. So, you've got to be having conversations with everyone about, the value of their home and just seeing like what it would take for them to, because a lot of them will give you the objection, well, I have nowhere to go. Well, at what price point would it matter to you no more if you didn't have anywhere to go? Maybe you had to rent an apartment for a few months or whatever until something opened up. And so once you know that number, then, they might be willing to list with you. But I think listings last. And I think just getting out, just being very consistent because it's time on task over time with whatever you're doing. I think that, being very consistent with whatever you're doing for lead generation, if that's social media or even door knocking. There's not many open houses to be had right now, but I've been seeing a few more pop up. So whatever it is that you're doing, like just not to get frustrated. I know it's harder if you're newer in the business because these seasoned agents do have a little bit, but call them, ask them, get in masterminds, learn from people that have been there, done that, and the people that are winning, and say, hey, do you just have like 10 minutes just to tell me, like, what are you doing to get these offers accepted? Because they have tricks. And so be willing to call the people in your local market or start a mastermind group on Facebook. And, what can we do? How can we help our buyers actually get under contract and get into a home? So that's my advice. And just, learning from people who have been there, done that, and then talk to as many people as you can and try to get your sign in the yard. Always heard, you put your sign in the yard, it's like a bird feeder and birds flock to it. So once you have that sign in the yard, you're able to, advertise it on social media, put out flyers in the neighborhood, door knock around it if you have to, if you step back if there's still if you're still with COVID stuff, but just show the hustle. You got to hustle, and it's time over task, and results will start to come, I promise. So, and it's connecting with people, always connecting with people first. Yeah. Seeing where they're paying it.
Very wise words. You speak of as though you are much older than you appear on television here. There's a lot of wisdom in there through the years. Well, Amy, did I tell you that this would go fast? And you'd go, how in the heck did we spend 45 minutes talking about this stuff? And would you believe it's actually been longer than that? And
that's so funny.
I'm getting my smoke signals from the engineering room back there. I think we're going to have to bring this to a close, but it has been just a thorough joy and pleasure to have you on the show, and thank you for opening up here and being authentic and genuine, and that's just who you are, and I know that, and I was excited when I found out that you were chosen for the position, and I knew that you were going to be able to step in and really make some things happen, and you're a great core value fit and culture fit for the company, and we're just here to support you too. So thank you for being here today on Cliff's Notes, and if you would, maybe if you want to drop down and on the wall here, or if I know you're kind of a behind the scenes person, but if somebody wanted to have just a confidential conversation with you or something, is there a way for people outside of eXp to reach you? Are we allowed to put some contact information out for you or not?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'll give you my phone number. How about that? That's easy peasy.
You want to do that? That's okay. That's fine. Yeah.
I probably shouldn't do that, but I'm a girl who I do really enjoy changing lives, and so if anyone ever wants to reach out to me for information, I know they're only going to call me if they're sincere. No one's going to call me so my number is 704-519-5929.
Okay.
Happy to talk to anyone.
Awesome. and that just speaks to the size of your heart to put your cell phone number out there, and really appreciate that. But anyway, thank you so much. Man, I feel like I feel good about life again after talking with you, and it's so refreshing, and you're wonderful, and we love you. Send you much love here from Dallas, and we'll see you and your husband, and hopefully here in our backyard in August, and I'm not sure if he'll make that one, but certainly November, I hope. But anyway, we're grateful to have you today, Amy, and wish you the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'll see you soon.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the audience, I'm sorry C3 couldn't be here today. I heard he just chipped in on 18 to shoot 64. Just got a little bug in my ear, so congratulations. And don't forget, we're going to be here next week with another super guest right on time on Cliff's Notes. All right, folks, tune in to Cliff's Notes every Thursday at 1 o'clock Central for the tips, tricks, and tactics to explode your business. I guarantee it!